Hello friends, this is Namita Basnotra, Mathematics, and today my new video is on congruency of triangles. But before we talk of congruency of triangles, we will first know what do we mean by congruency. So this new word congruency means maybe something very difficult or something very different. No, it is not so. So when we talk of congruency, so if in line segments we want to see whether the line segments are congruent, we just have to see whether two line segments are of equal length. If they are having the same length, they are congruent. Yes, that means you are right. Congruent means equal, and for line segments or for the angles, we can say that they are congruent to each other if you find that they are of same measure. So now congruence of angles is again when you see that if two angles have the same measure, then they are congruent. Now congruency can also be checked in squares, rectangles and triangles, like that, geometrical figures. So for that you will be needing two squares or more than two squares or rectangles. I have two rectangles over here and I want to check whether these two rectangles are congruent to each other. So in that case I will place one rectangle on top of other, right? So I'm going to place this and I want to check whether they are equal or congruent. So when I place it, this is called superimposition. So I'm superimposing the rectangles and I see that they are covering each other exactly. So that means these two rectangles are congruent. You see? So now I have two triangles with me and I want to know whether these two triangles are congruent to each other. As I've told you, we will superimpose to check, but when you superimpose, so if I superimpose it like this, so I can see they don't look congruent. So then I have to look for their corresponding vertices, corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So in a triangle, this is a vertex and this is the side, and here this is the angle, and in this triangle also I have to find corresponding side of AB. So when I look at it, so is EF the corresponding side? No, this is looking bigger. So I will turn it and see and place it like this. So now I know that vertex A is corresponding to vertex D, right? Vertex B is corresponding to vertex E, and the last one, vertex C, is corresponding to vertex F. So now in congruency, the first thing you have to learn is that you have to look at the two figures and look for their corresponding vertices, corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So corresponding vertices are like A and D, they are corresponding to each other, and the symbol to show that they correspond to each other is this. So if I have to write A corresponds D, so I'll make this arrow in between, right? And the second symbol that you should know is the symbol of congruence. So if you have to show that this triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, so instead of writing words is congruent to, we simply use this symbol. Easy? So it saves a time, right? So when you use this symbol, it means is congruent to. Okay, so now it is important for you to write the sides. So like in these two triangles, the corresponding sides are AB is corresponding to DE, and if I have to see corresponding angle, then I would say angle A corresponds angle D, right? And if I say angle A corresponds angle F, that is wrong. So you have to be very careful and you have to see the corresponding sides, angles and vertices in these two triangles. So after this, what you have to do is, here I have again two triangles for you and I'm trying to place them here for you, and you will be now writing on your own the corresponding sides, angles and vertices of these two triangles. So I have written for you like A corresponds Q, B corresponds R, C corresponds P. These are the vertices. Now what is angle A corresponding to? So you want me to place it on top of each other? Okay, let me do that. are they corresponding? Right? Yes. So that means angle A corresponds to angle Q. So I'll write here angle Q. Now angle B is here and it corresponds to angle R. So I'll write here angle R. And the third is angle C of this triangle, which corresponds to angle P of the other triangle. So I'll write here angle P. So this is how you will be writing angle A corresponds angle Q. And the same thing you can do with the sides, like AB is a line segment here, AB is a side, and this side is corresponding to the side QR. And then when we find that all the vertices, angles and sides are corresponding to each other, and we also see by superimposition that the triangles are congruent, so we can write triangle ABC is congruent to triangle QRP. Now there's another thing. When we write corresponding sides and we're very careful, then just by looking at the name you can say that which is a corresponding side. For example, you see here, what is it? A. So let me change the color here first. So I look at it. So my first, here I see the first alphabet here is A and the first alphabet here is Q. So just by looking at the name I can say that vertex A is corresponding to vertex Q, or angle A is corresponding to angle Q. Can you guess the second one? Angle B, it is corresponding to angle R, and angle C is corresponding to angle P. Similarly, even if you don't have the figures in front of you like this, right, and only the triangles, the name is given to you, and it is written that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle QRP. That means just by looking at it, you can write the corresponding sides. How? Let's look at it. But the first two alphabets will make a side, that is AB will make a side, right? So AB corresponds QR, right? So we will write side AB corresponds QR. Easy. Similarly, the next two alphabets are BC and here it is RP. So you will say BC corresponds RP. So how would you write that? BC corresponds RP. Easy? Yes, you can show a line here to show that it is a line segment. You can draw, that is allowed. And then the last what is left is C here and A. So you will write CA of this triangle corresponds PQ of the other triangle. So just by looking at the name, and if it is mentioned that they are congruent to each other, you can write the corresponding sides, angles and vertices. Easy, right? So now I want that you should do one question on your own, and it is your self-test. And then, like every time, I also give you the answers of the self-test. So here are the answers. So please note down the answers. Yes, and check them. And this is Namita Basnotra, Math@Ease. And if you want to write to me, you can write at math.at.ease